Excited to hear your talk, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so
All
much. Thank you for having me.
181 slides?
Don't worry, they go quick. It's going to be okay. I promise.
Sounds good. Um, my fear is not you not having the ability to click for the next slide and having to say slide 180 times. Um, we will see how it goes. It'll be fun. How have you been, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute privilege over the last few years, to be honest with you. For those who don't know, Josh is actually one of the first people I connected with in cybersecurity communities, and he's been an outstanding example to me. I'm sure he's been an outstanding example to y'all. It's a privilege to be able to call him Josh and say, "Hey, man, you're in my corner. If I need anything, I can reach out to you." And he was one of the first people to be available for me like that. As a result, I've had a ton of stepping stones, opened a lot of doors, met a lot of great people in this community, cybersecurity as a whole. And it's just been an adventure, just scooping everything up over the last 4.5 years. I can't say enough good things. And to see him today as an MC, to be working with him again today, it's just a privilege. Thank you for everything you do, man.
Thank you, sir. Well, um, I'm gonna cry. So let's see if you have the ability to share screen down at the bottom.
All right,
Do you
let
have
me
the
see if I can give
power?
it a go. No.
Maybe you press H.
All right, let's see how this works. All right, can you see my PowerPoint?
Let me add to the scene. Yeah.
Outstanding. All right. I'll drag this
Oh,
over to the side just to make sure I got a I got some prompts over here on the side. Um,
for sure.
Let
Let me
me
see.
see if
Almost
I
got
can go into
farther.
presentation mode too. Just troubleshooting here, y'all.
We're doing it live. This is cybersecurity in its finest.
It really is.
We
I'll
set up
be honest.
everything 90%. I'm sure it'll work.
I love it. So true. So true. Feel free to drop in the chat if you're motivated for today. If you've been taking some good notes, if let's give a shout out to the people who have been presenting earlier today for giving of their time and sacrificing their efforts, sharing what they've discovered in the marketplace. Yeah, I was speaking with a pen tester down in B-Sides Charleston. For those who don't know, today actually marks my ninth cybersecurity conference talk in 23 months. So it's
Nice.
been an absolute journey and a privilege all this time. But the amazing people I get to speak with and connect with, um, I don't think I could have asked for a better privilege, a better opportunity, a better community to hang out with speakers prior to an event and just be in that room, feel that aura of people who have been, seasoned professionals. They've been in the weeds, they've been doing the action. And so that's one of the reasons I enjoy working with Josh so much is, he's been around the block. He knows people, he knows things. He's actually got his hands dirty in some action. And, it's that imperfect action that we take that actually paves the way for us to go forward. And I'm living proof of that. So if I can do it, I really think anybody else can.
Well, Chris, you said some kind things about me. I've got some kind things prepared to say about you. So, I'm going to do that now. So, Chris Young is a U.S. military veteran, a cybersecurity professional, and internationally recognized speaker dedicated to developing the next generation of cyber talent. With experience spanning threat intel, governance, risk and compliance, and security operations, he is passionate about helping individuals and organizations strengthen their cybersecurity capabilities through education, mentorship, and community engagement. Chris is a leader within the Simply Cyber community, where he's helped launch initiatives including the Cybersecurity Conference Board, Public Speaking Masters, and GRC Study Hall to empower aspiring professionals and first time conference speakers. Known for his engaging presentations and commitment to giving back, he continues to inspire others by fostering collaboration, continuous learning, and professional growth across the cybersecurity industry. Chris, you took the idea of pay it forward and to the max, and I'm a big fan of what you are about. I'm going to give you the floor and get out of your way.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for everything.
Sure.
Um, All right, so let's get ready to rock and roll, y'all. So, fair warning, my slides are gonna go quick. The information I'm giving you, it's actually pretty succinct. It's pretty straightforward. So there's not a lot of notes you need to take, but I want to make sure that you get some of the gems that we're dropping here. And I'll tell you what the gems are, what to look for early on. Okay. A few things here. First off, shout out to Rihanna Schultz for putting this together. Shout out to the MCs, Josh Mason, the other people behind the scenes. There's a lot of work that actually goes into this. So let's drop in the chat a little bit of appreciation, because this is not possible without people taking time out of their day, investing of their efforts, their talents, to bring something and make it available to you like this. This is a very tremendous occasion. And I personally have not seen too many events that have actually married in such a professional way the good cause that we have going on here today too. So if you feel free, if you feel generous, if you have the ability, please drop $5. It's just it doesn't take a lot to make good things happen here. So please just at least consider it. Okay. So one of the ways that I got into public speaking here, I've been a professional actor, a touring drummer. I've done a lot of incredible things on stages from an audience of like 5 people to 500,000. Okay. The size of the audience does not challenge me. What challenges me is the subject matter. And so I got this talk idea because I've been in SEO since 2003, and I started consulting globally um, back in 2016. So it's been roughly a decade of me doing this. And when I started looking at cybersecurity conference talks, a guy named John Strand, he openly stated that he wishes he had a talk that he could leverage to bring more C-suite executives and founders and entrepreneurs into the conversation, because that's who we help. That's who we help to fortify the online presence and their Rosetta Stone, for lack of a better phrase, going on in their environments. So I understand that getting a website positioned in a certain way for a purpose can actually help generate leads and contribute to the bottom line. So that's where this talk came from. And I actually gave it for the first time as a keynote speaker to a sold out audience. Shout out to Mr. James McQuiggan for the opportunity and the invitation to do that. Since then, I've actually presented this talk multiple times in different venues, locally, nationally, at federal events, globally, even to some global reaching cybersecurity conferences. So it's this has turned into a talk that's actually in high demand, and I didn't realize the kind of traction it would be. All I understood was I was looking to connect with other people. One of the ways you could do that is present. But I didn't have a lot of traction when I tried to say something, but when I had something to say, something to share with the community, that's when I started getting traction. So if you've never presented at cybersecurity conferences before, one of the best ways that you can get started is see what you know, see how things that you know in your background tie together. Okay. So as we get started, I want to let you know another thing. You are being trained today by somebody who is prone to immense, silly accidents, and I'm going to prove it right now. So I'm up in the Michigan area, and I'm traveling across the country to go to Charleston for one of the B sides. And I've traveled all the time. I've toured. I've done a lot of great things. So I actually scheduled my flights and my hotel at the same time. Take a lesson from me. Don't do those at the same time. So I show up down there and I find out I do have a round trip airfare, but I only have one night at the hotel. Luckily, it's right around the corner at the venue for B-side. So I'm like, okay, I'll stay the night. And I'm walking in with all of my stuff, a little Target bag with all of my toiletries, and I'm lugging all of my belongings here. I don't know what people were thinking, but they're looking at me like, you're presenting today? So if you know Joe Hudson, I reached out to him. I was like, dude, you're not going to believe this. And he was like, you know what? You should actually put that at a slide. So I guess and thanks to his recommendation, what I should be calling this talk is how to instantly destroy your credibility prior to presenting. So I own it. Just taking imperfect action. Things still work out. Things can still go okay. You don't have to be perfect in your trade craft and especially in public speaking. Speaking of, we talked about the public speaking group. We now meet 5 times a year on even months. We take December off. And we actually have double digit success of people landing their first cybersecurity conference talk, and roughly a handful that have made waves in the cybersecurity community, landing major cybersecurity conference talks, such as the Wild West Hackin' Fest, B-Sides, I mean, you name it. Okay, we're getting traction. And if you want to practice trying to get on stage or share what you understand or just get better at the tradecraft of conveying ideas, this is a place to do it. And it's over in the Simply Cyber Discord. So, in getting into this talk, there's two focuses on this. Okay, foci. I don't know if that's plural. Okay, clearly you don't have to be good at grammar to do this. It's we're going to learn how to ninja kick both the competition because the nature of the market is competitive, and also ninja kicking the bad guys. So, quick disclaimer: this may skyrocket your success or that of your business, but you and you alone are responsible for the results that you do or do not get from the actions that you do or do not take from what I'm sharing with you today. I'm not going to say that twice, but just understand that there's very good possibility that even a portfolio can get some additional attention if you're doing an online presence and you're building some traction. Even if you're new and you have a website that you're documenting your learning on, this is a great bit of information that can help you. Okay. So I want you to know that what you're going to learn today is not complex. Okay, it's very simple. And if you remember some of this stuff going on way back in the day, you don't need a lot of ornamentation to actually get the job done. Sometimes it really is about the tradecraft and your skill, being able to deliver that. And a good example of that, and very simple example, is if you have ports that are open and they don't need to be open, maybe consider closing them. It really can be that grounded. Okay. So here's the problem with what I'm talking about today. When, let's say you're on stage and you have a ton of experts and professionals in this audience, okay? And you raise your hand, you're like, hey, who can tell me how to do this? And they're just going to start chirping and barking at you. No pun intended on CyberLabs. And and we're not sure who to trust, okay? And so I understand that. Some of you don't know me, some of you haven't met me, and you don't know if I'm credible to speak on this. So I'm going to leave it to you to decide whether or not I am qualified to present on this. So I want to take a step back and acknowledge that it takes a community. And I want you to think about when you got started in this space, who was present for you? Who helped you in the early days? Because face facts, it takes a tribe. There are people who have paved the way for me. They've probably paved the way for you. Think about somebody who has helped you in your early days. Take a quick note. And then after this speech, take a couple minutes and reach out to them and just say thank you. Okay. But I'm also putting up the slide to let you know that if if you're guilty by association, maybe you also have credibility by association. So I've worked with people on this list in some way, shape, or form, or volunteered with them. I'm absolutely grateful for the things that they've done for me and the ways that I've been able to contribute back to them. So if you think I'm credible by this, cool. If you think I'm credible because I have certifications, cool. Unfortunately, not a single one of those has actually done anything for me. But if one actually does someday in the future, I'll change the slide. I'll let you know. How about if I've actually done the trade craft and worked a procedure and got this down to, I don't want to call it a science, but a routine, an art that has proven itself every single time. So I actually had a digital marketing agency. And just as some people are going to go into social media management and they're going to say, hey, I can get you 1,000 followers, pay me $1,000 a month. They go look at their online presence. They have like 500 Instagram followers. You're like, really? So I've actually practiced what I preach. We see here on the left-hand side, I've also gotten to the top of search results, the organic side before you talk about the local business. So on the right-hand side, a lot of people are going to think that I'm contradicting myself, and questioning whether or not I can actually deliver because I have not touched this digital asset. Okay, I got busy. I did consulting across the globe, and I just stopped working on the actual website itself. Well, I haven't touched it for 7 years, and it's still in the top three. Let's take a step back. In cybersecurity, if you haven't touched something for about 7 years, can we agree that's a problem? Probably something you don't want to be thinking about. But I want to demonstrate that if you do things well, there's a way that this can actually stand the test of time, and digital marketing is actually no different. Also, I've been able to come into the marketplace using the things that I'm going to share with you today, and I actually outperformed one of the most expensive operational tools in the marketplace less than a year later using the same principles that you're going to learn today. So I already know The NIST cybersecurity framework has a 2.0. There's a governance on it. I'm just keeping it simple for the conversation today and let you know where we're going. The majority of today's conversation is going to be on identity and protect. We're going to be looking at things before a disastrous event actually happens. We're going to touch on some of the ways to detect what's going on and respond. So those are the things I want you to take notes on. But today we're going to look at how to identify and protect some things, right? So here's the two goals for today. We're going to learn how to expand the digital footprint of an online presence, whether it's a company website, it's your portfolio website. The concepts are still the same because search engines are search engines. And then we're also going to learn how to elevate cyber resilience. Notice I didn't say cybersecurity because it's about being able to respond in an effective and quick way, albeit, to recover from an actual incident. So after you have a mobile responsive website, the big three that we're going to be talking about is content, backlinks, and citations. Now, I could have been done with the speech at this point, but if I don't change the way that you're thinking, you're probably going to forget about it by the time this conference is done. By the time you have dinner, you'll have rearranged it in your head. By the time you go to bed, you'll have reinvented it. And by tomorrow morning, you won't even recognize it. So that's why this talk is important, not only to articulate these ideas and the concepts of how they actually move, but then also talking about ways to fortify this because these are resources that companies actually spend money in. And you're going to see how I've gotten paid a little bit later in here. I actually have a pay chart to show you that companies really do spend money on this. And at the end of the day, the whole reason that companies do this is to get more attention, to get requests from prospective or current and repeat customers. At the end of the day, it's going to be about, just like we say in cybersecurity, it's, money drives everything, right? But you don't need to apologize for getting to the top of search. And I'm going to talk you through how we actually get that. But once you're actually at the top of search, now you need to stay there. And that's a whole completely different ballgame. But the procedures are the same. You just do more of what we're going to talk about today. And even if your website goes down, you're still talking about business continuity. So you're growing and you're maintaining. So why should you care about this? All right, I understand we're in we're in cybersecurity or this is a cybersecurity conference. But do you think a business owner is going to care where you are if they think, "Hey, you work with things inside the computer. My website's inside the computer. My website is down. Fix it." What are you going to tell them? No? So this is designed to enable you to understand the inner workings of what actually moves the needle, why this is valuable, and then maybe some approaches and considerations to maybe work with the digital marketing side who has probably helped us set this up. But when it goes down, they're like, what do I do? So they turn to the experts in cybersecurity and they're, can you actually help them? So that's the goal of this. But I approach this a little bit differently. It's not just about getting a website or Google business profile to the top of search. What if you have an internal service page? What if you had a Facebook like what if you were actually paint the entire first page of Google search your brand or your company's brand or your portfolio website? What would that do for getting attention for the target goal of why you're doing what you're doing? So I want to show you that this has actually generated results. Okay, so these are actual call graphs that I've recorded. I've snipped 169 calls in 31 days just from being at the top of search results. 227 calls for clients asking for services. How about multiple contact form submissions? Let's take a closer look at this. This is not just about putting a contact form on the homepage or contact page. How about a special offers page? How about an about page? People who looked at one of my older portfolio websites, they'll see that I actually have a contact form. I'm practicing what I preach. When I got into cybersecurity and I actually made that portfolio piece, I included a contact form, probably something you should write down. At the end of the day, your online presence is still a conversation. Okay. Just as we're having one to many right here, like I talk about in the public speaking group, you're still having conversation. This is still dialogue. So even though it's written form, it's still intended to get somebody to take a certain action. So I understand that was a long lead in, but let's get started. So we're starting with a foundation, and I'm not here to insult other people, but I am here to make sure that anybody who's not familiar with this, we also have a solid understanding and a grounding of uh, common lingo. Okay, so I like to use real estate as a comparison for web properties. So your website would be your house that you actually build on web hosting, which is your property. Some people are like, web property is the website. I use different lingo just to make sure that this is, imagery. It's helpful for people who are not familiar with talking the tech. And this is enabling you to talk the tech with executives and C-suite executives too. Okay. So you have the website, you build it on your land or your web hosting, you get a domain, a web address from a registrar, slap that puppy on there, and now you're live. And then the internet, the information superhighway, I guess they call it, classic lingo here. The simple art of SEO is actually moving you up toward the street, toward the end of the street, so that you can be considered first for people who are searching for what you actually have. And for the rest of this conversation, I understand that in modern day we're talking TLS, but I'm going to use SSL. Why? Because executives see the S in SSL, they see the S at the back of the URL for HTTPS. They're like, oh, S means secure. I got it. So I'm with you, but for the rest of this conversation, we're going to be, anytime we reference this, we're going to be saying SSL. Okay. So at the end of the day, something that we can simply convey to people, as lay readers in cybersecurity, is that we're just converting something underneath the hood. Okay. We're changing technical things, even if it just looks like we're clicking a button. So we can change from port 80 to port 443. Did I say too many fours? 443. And we can make something more cyber resilient, not secure, but if we can fortify this a little bit better, that's the goal of what we're trying to do. So let's take a little field trip. I deployed to Afghanistan as a United States Marine in 2010. There's my ugly little mug. And when I left, I actually left a flip phone. I come back 9 months later, not because I was pregnant. I came back because that was the end of deployment. And then I got my first generation droid from Verizon. No, they're not sponsoring this, but just FYI. This basically ended up taking flip phones, making them virtually obsolete, and sending them on a semi-permanent vacation. 5 years later, we got about this thing called Mobilegeddon. We'll come back to the fine print and look at, you don't need to read this, but understand Mobilegeddon was something that affected large companies and basically was they need to look good on all these different devices, internet accessible devices. This is how we're advancing in technology. Over 40% of the richest companies in the world said, yeah, I don't believe you. And then they got affected. I think it was roughly 44%. They were no longer the top in the marketplace and they started losing market share. So, thanks, man. Glad you're here. Yeah, sorry, broke a little bit. Over 40% of the richest companies in the world. So this actually was a serious thing. So you want to test your website, whether it's your company's website, which is not going to hurt them. This is not pen testing. Okay. This is open source. It's totally fine. And you can go to a tool and I want you to write this down. It's Am I Responsive? AMI Responsive. Am I Responsive? All one word. And so you go down the page just a little bit, you put the full URL in there. It's a little bit finicky of a tool. So, try it a couple times, see if it works. And you get a little imagery like this, which I've actually snipped this image from that website. It's actually very well. So you do a search for that. They've changed some branding a little bit. It's the same idea. So click a few of those items and you'll see what pops up. So that was tip basically number one, which is having a mobile responsive website. Next, when we do a search for just about anything in the World Wide Web, what is one thing that usually shows up? You could be typing for elephants, for, silly looking guys with goofy looking earballs giving cybersecurity conference talks, or Wikipedia. In this case, Mike Tyson. Wikipedia is one of the things that always shows up. Why? Well, I started scrolling down the page and taking some snippets, and I stopped at page 3 because I think we kind of get the point here. Look at all this fine print. It's talking about the very specific subject matter of that web page. So Google and Wikipedia have proven that words on the page, the word patterns, are actually what give traction to an online presence. So these are Google's own words to steps to a Google-friendly site. They have said they want you, if you want to get seen on search results and get to the top of search, provide high-quality content on the pages of your website, especially your homepage. Google takes the time out of their day to take this a step further and says, this is the single most important thing to do. So I'm concerned because I'm not sure if anybody is actually grasping this, but you need to do more than just write about the topic. You actually need to write authoritatively about it. It's not just enough to draft something in AI. Okay. Google is getting smarter, as they do with updates. And it's no longer the opportunity for you to just put AI slop up there. Okay. It's coming down. You still have to put quality content and contribute to the marketplace. So using not much more than what you've learned just now, I've been able to rank a website to the top of search. This is still live. You can go up and check it for me. If it's not there, a Google is probably making another update, but we checked it last night, and this is actually seen around the world. As a matter of fact, I landed some business helping somebody with their website by ranking something to the top of search like this. And they're like, "Can you help me?" I'm like, "Just do a search. Check this out." They scrolled to the bottom of the page. They saw me with a picture with my dance partner. She was a Russian trained ballerina. And they were like, "You're hired." 2.5 weeks later, after me helping them, they landed $5.3 million. So I'm not trying to impress you, but I'm trying to impress upon you that having a portfolio and a little bit of work can actually speak volumes other than, "Hey, I can help you." So what did I do with this webpage? Well, I made sure that it was mobile responsive. I'm practicing what I preach. And then I put authoritative content on there. This is a little bit in the direction of copywriting, full full transparency. Um, this was a long form sales letter of about 1,400 words talking about pull deck marketing. I know this is not in cybersecurity, but I'm trying to convey the idea that writing authoritatively on the pages of your website, whether it's a for profit company, a nonprofit company, your portfolio, you can do this too. You can still have the opportunity with not much more than what I've shared with you. And I'm going to share with you a couple other gems here. You can get to the top of search as well. So tip number 2 is content. Okay. And I'm strictly talking about word patterns, words on the page. People are going to try and talk about and argue with me, and they have argued with me to say, "Hey, what about the images? What about doing all these other things?" Well, I'm going to leave it at words on the page because not having done much with images, I've still outperformed the competition. So it's up to you what you want to test. Now, Google for years have been back and forth with this on whether or not to include videos in search results. Ebbs and flows. Every few months, they make a new update. So, this day and age, I think it's a lot harder or it's more rare to see YouTube videos. But using the same concept that I'm teaching you here of content on the page, if you've ever posted a YouTube video, you see the title underneath the video, or at least as of this version of YouTube. And underneath, you have a video description. That video description gives you 5,000 characters, including spaces. And so instead of putting clickable links and other things that people are branding under there, I put content. I talked about the subject matter and it ranked just underneath my webpage. So maybe that's a nice little gem for you. So I want you to write down some of these bonus tips, okay? A lot of people are not doing this in the marketplace. So this is a way you can go audit your online presence, your own website, your portfolio, your company's website as well. I want you to look at your page title, okay? And I've circled the ellipses at this page title to show that it's a run on sentence almost, okay? You need to dial this in. You need to deliberately do this because if you don't manage this, Google is probably going to fill it in for you and you're not going to like what they actually do for you. So it's a computer. To control the computer, just fill it in yourself. And I want you to put the number 55. Remember 55 characters or less, including spaces. This is what I want for your page title. So too many people are married to their branding. And what they want to do is say, "You know what? I don't care what Chris says. I'm going to put my branding on there." You know what? More power to you. The best practice I've seen from a sample size of 400,000 websites in different markets across the globe, yes, I've been at this for a while and I have a big network, is put the subject that your title or that your page is actually about in your page title right here. So as you can see, this is a tree service company. Okay, this is a for-profit company, but the idea is still the same. This page is talking about this particular thing. And so I put that particular topic in the page title, 55 characters or less. If you have space, go ahead and put one of those pipe little things or a dash and put your branding. Keep it under 55 characters or less, including spaces. Have I said that enough? So if you're worried or your executive's worried about putting branding, just put the branding in the page description, which is this little text underneath the page title, okay? But I want you to keep this under 155 characters or less. Now, people still think that this is a ranking factor. It's not, but that doesn't change the fact that you can still work with it in some way, shape, or form because it's a conversion factor. You're still telling the people who are seeing you in search results what they're going to get out of this. So 155 characters or less, go ahead and put the branding in there if you want, but just talk a little bit about what the page is actually about and what they're going to get, okay? So that's content, which is number 2. We're going to move on using Google's own words to make sure that other people are linking to your sites. This is what we call backlinking. And we've all seen this on the World Wide Web. It's just clickable text. And when you click on one of these, think of this as page A, the page that you're on. It's going to take you to another page on the World Wide Web. This is page B. Page A, page B. You click on page A, it takes you to page B. Google interprets this as a vote. And this is Google's own words. Again, over in this reddish area in the lower right, Google interprets a link from the page you're on to the page you're going to, page A to page B, as a vote. Why is this important for this conversation? Back in the day, it was the Wild Wild West. The company or the online presence with the most backlinks won. Roughly 2007 to 2013, I know, hello, big, wide timeline. But in the grand scheme of things, the point is they have it. Okay, that's what I'm trying to convey to you. They got a patent that changed the game. It was no longer the person with the most backlinks won, the top spots. It was now a matter of having a diversified backlink portfolio. So the big thing I want you to take from here is that flooding a website with backlinks is now a bad juju idea. And we're going to talk about that in the second half when we're talking about fortifying a website. So if you want to see what an online presence has, you can go to a tool called Majestic. It gives you one free search, I think, every 24 hours. This is not my tool. They can change it whenever they choose, but you can go here, put domain.com or reachchrisyoung.com, I guess. And you can take a look at some of these stats here. Now, there's a lot of stats. We'll look at a few of them, okay? We won't get lost in the weeds. But I want to take a look at the big numbers up here at the top in circles. Now, you have two numbers here. One is trust flow, one is citation flow. These are not numerical aggregates, okay? These are not counts of how many backlinks you have to your website or your portfolio. What these are evaluations, okay? Think of them as a score out of 100, from 0 to 100. And the citation flow, okay, the one on the right, we're starting here. Think of this as an assessment of the amount of people on the World Wide Web that are linking back to whatever your web property is, whatever your asset is. Now, out of that, what you want to get on the left-hand side here is something called trust. You're trying to build trust in your online presence so Google can say, oh, you're not shady, you're not spammy. Okay, we can share you with other people and recommend you so we can get you to the top of search. So citation flow, volume, trust flow, what you're trying to get, you're trying to build trust. We'll talk about this again in the protective, the defensive cyber portion of this talk. So we scroll down a little bit on this Majestic thing. We already looked at trust flow and citation flow. And we're going to look at something called anchor text. What in the world is this? It's just the clickable text that people are clicking on the World Wide Web to get back to your web page. Do you see any common traits? Let's take a closer look at this. So I highlighted 3 of these here. You can see domain.com or first name, last name.com. You see up in number 4, it's https://. And then in number 5, you have the subdomain, you have the www. So why does this matter? Well, you have to diversify your backlink portfolio. One of the ways to do that, if people are linking back to you, it doesn't hurt to reach out to them and say, hey, can you change what's actually being clicked on? And that is actually going to give you more credit. And I use the real estate investor here just as an arbitrary thing to say, hey, if your website is about real estate investing, it could be about cybersecurity, it could be about MSSP, whatever it is. I want you to start varying the amount of backlinks that you're getting based on what people actually click, what it actually says as it points back to your website. But the reason for the variations in the versions of your web address is because I want the web address, when you actually see the URL in the address bar, I want it to display everything that these variations actually see. Google is a computer. You want it to not have any questions about the consistency of what we're actually talking about. So if you want to have the maximum credit for the variations, just show everything. Don't drop the www just because you prefer brand.com, okay? Modern day, they're actually shortening it and they're taking off the http://www. But it's still there. It's just hidden, okay, from like the visual key. They're making it more pretty. Still use this. And if you see that your company doesn't have this, make the recommendation to change it, okay? Now, for the rest of the website, I want you to make sure that you have the full web address. And I want this to be consistent. So some web hosting is going to force you to have .html. Some are going to have about without the .html or the contact without .html. Whichever way you're doing this, make this consistent across multiple websites. Having audited thousands of websites over the years, this is not consistent across companies, multiple pages, and sometimes they have thousands. So this is actually something that needs to get fixed. Some people don't have any sweat about it, but it's a bigger deal than we think. So we talked about a mobile responsive website, content, backlinks, and we're going to get into something called citations. But before we do that, I'll explain what it is. Can we agree that if 0% correct on any graph is a problem? Yeah. Just nod your head if you agree. I think we all agree on this. This is a bad thing. Do you think this should be fixed? I think so too. So what we're talking about is listing your online presence, okay, your name, address, and phone number. We'll get to a third party talking about that. We're talking about business listings, Yelp, Bing Maps, Facebook business page. Okay, these are places that you can list your business. But we talk about this in a silly word called citations. Well, what is this? Let's zoom in on what Moz is actually telling us. It's any online mention of your business's name, address, and phone number. NAP, name, address, phone number, quick way to remember it. And this can occur on local business directories, as we've discussed, on websites and apps, and even on social platforms. Not all citations are created equal, just like not all backlinks are created equal. So you have to be mindful of where you're getting these from. But this is a good page to start with if you want to take a snippet of this. And you can go check if your brand has an online presence here. If they don't, you need to fix this. And this is a simple way for you to articulate, hey, these are probably free. Let's go check and make sure they're free. I know Google Business Profile is free. And these are going to act as more lines in the water for the business. This is a good thing, okay? That's expanding their digital footprint for more opportunities for more people to see that brand and say, hey, that's probably something that I need. So the way that you implement this is step one. This is my recommendation. Step one, get the Google Business Profile, set it up, and then try and closely match the name, address, and phone number, how it's displayed on there, as close as you can get it. It's not going to be perfect, but go through all of these places and marry that up. What this is going to do is act as a vote to the Google Business Profile, just like the backlinks act as a vote, so to speak, for your online presence, for your website. So we've talked about content, backlinks, and citations. So if this is happening at your company, fix it. Okay. If you guys are having trouble with this or you're not sure what to do, just reach out. I'm happy to have a free conversation. Okay. I'm not here to pitch you guys. I'm just here to let you know this is something you need to be mindful of. And a lot of people, especially in cybersecurity, they're not doing this. So if they're not doing it, but your company decides to, you're probably setting yourself apart from the rest of the cybersecurity who either doesn't know to do this or they don't want to do this. Maybe they don't understand the value of it. So now that we've talked about content, backlinks, and citations, we're going to talk about how to fortify what companies are actually spending money on. Okay. So I've shown you all of the call graphs and the online contact form submissions, the emails that you saw earlier today. So we're going to get to ways that we can think about how to fortify this. Okay. Like I said, this is not going to be groundbreaking. It might open your eyes a little bit, but it's not rocket science, y'all. So circa 2018, the SSL, TLS, the SSL became a ranking factor. Here's what I mean. Roughly 2015, when I was just getting into the consulting space, they thought having that S in HTTP, just having secure, was giving your target audience a warm and fuzzy. They're like, oh, you're secure. That means I'm going to go with you instead. I don't think people really buy from that, or at least they didn't back in the day, even if they should have. But that was the sentiment is, oh, it's optional. Circa 2018, now we started asking, hey, do you have that S on the end of HTTP? And so if you don't, web browsers are now shifting in the direction, and they have been for a number of years, so it's not a surprise in 2026. If you don't have that S, there's a high probability that you're going to increase something called bounce rate. They're not even going to get to your website. So they can't exactly bounce if they can't get to your website. They just won't see it. So even if you've set this up, if you don't set this up properly, web browsers are not going to let visitors in. So make sure that you get with a professional if you're an executive or if you're an entrepreneur. If you're the cybersecurity person, just double check with your team, make sure that this is set up properly, and then go look at this from different browsers, different devices, and make sure that this is accessible. Because if one of those are down, we need to have a conversation. Okay. And they're going to take the web visitors to a page that looks like this, which is not your website, which means prospective buyers are not going to see the brand. That is a problem. Furthermore, if you don't have that S in the Google Business Profile, Google has started doing this. Okay. Google is not the sponsor of this talk, but they're the 800-pound gorilla. That's why I'm talking about them, because all the other search engines are now taking their cue from this. Okay. They're built roughly the same way. So I'm still at the top of search for Bing Maps. I'm at the top of search for Google. This can complement and expand the digital footprint for more opportunities to get more customers. But if you don't have this, they have started lining out and graying out the actual website in the Google Business Profile. Have I conveyed the importance yet that we need to have the SSL security certificate? So, what can we do about this? Again, not rocket science. Set up the SSL, TLS. And some web hosting have actually made it free. Some have made it easier to implement this. You just click a button. Okay. Remember, we were talking about underneath the hood, click the button. A lot more happens than just click a button, something miraculously changes. 80, 443, those kinds of things. Sometimes you're going to need to change your DNS records. Sometimes it's an A record, a C name. There's various things, and they have different ways to do this. Okay. At the end of the day, you need to do this at your web hosting level. But as we've discussed, it takes this SSL security certificate and it now dual purposes this as a ranking factor as well in search results. So if you don't have this on your portfolio, get this. If you don't have this on your company website, get this. End of story. It's just really simple. Now we're going to shift to something that I like to talk about. And when I was working with Michelle Khan, we talked about this extensively. An idea called security through obscurity. Okay. Now, people, if they find your login page, that's probably problem number one. Okay, maybe you want to try and hide that a little bit if you can. Okay, some platforms they have customer facing things they need to log in. It's probably not the best. But if you have an intranet or something, why have the login page named login? If you can change that, try. Okay. Now understand WordPress is still prominently used on the World Wide Web, 43% of the world. So it they can start wailing on this as bad actors if they can find it. So maybe think about trying to obscure it to where they can't find it. So coming from my Marine Corps background, I like to use this illustration to bring the idea home. If you're taking cover, people scream, "Oh, hit the deck, take cover." What you're doing is you're being told to hide behind something that small arms fire can't get at you. Obviously, little arrows. People are using arrows these days. Some might, but the idea is to take cover. Now, here's the problem with taking cover: you can't see the enemy. The enemy can't see you, but they can't hit you, and you can't hit them. Generally speaking. With concealment, you're actually blending into your environment. If you ever thought of a ghillie suit or somebody who's in airsoft and they're trying to blend into the environment. So you might be able to finagle your position to where you can see them and they can't see you. But if they start shooting in your general direction, you don't have any protection. Okay. So this concealment is the same idea of security through obscurity. They might be able to find it, but the goal is to make it harder for them to find. So if you want to change the login URL, if you're able to, I highly recommend exploring that possibility. Now, why are we doing this again? Okay. Just like the traditional ideas of web app security, okay, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, all that good stuff, I want to expand your mind a little bit and understand why we're doing this. Is to protect content backlinks and citations. People pay a lot of money to actually write these articles that get somebody to the top of search results, and I'll prove it to you. So I actually have records here that I'm deciding to share with you. I've made as much as $7,000 just writing web content for people who actually valued what I'm talking about here today. This is not a pitch. I'm letting you know people have paid me for this. And so I'm living proof that companies who understand the value of this, they want to hire somebody who knows what they're doing, not making AI fluff, and actually drafting content that is going to expand their digital footprint in a meaningful way. Nearly 500 bucks? Are you kidding me? So maybe we need to think about actually protecting their investment. One of the ways to do that, back to hitting the broken record again, like Dr. Ogier always says, want to make sure that you're setting up multi-factor authentication, but you still have security through obscurity. Now, I remember sitting when I got started in cybersecurity, I was fortunate enough to sit in a room, kind of like what we're doing here, is in a Discord, with pen testers, ethical hackers from around the world. And I sat with them. I was like, hey, let me just bring this up a moment. Let me ask, what can you garner from this? What can you actually do with this? And I was just thinking they were all going to agree on like one or two things, like what I was thinking. They blew me away. The kind of circus, the kind of like they can jump rope with this. This is a joke to them. Okay. The people who actually know what they're doing, it's incredible. So this is something called directory listings, and you want to hide this. Remember, security through obscurity is what we're trying to do. So sometimes there are things in the world wide web that you're going to be able to hide. Sometimes you can't. So if you've ever used a tool called BuiltWith to inspect an online presence, you're going to get web servers, the name server where they're actually hosting their website, the registrar that they actually bought their domain from. Whether or not you can do anything with this, whether or not they're actually taking measures to protect their email address, like with SPF records, right? So, what do you want to do with directory listings or directory browsing, as they call it? What you can do is redirect it to a 403 forbidden. I think you need to do that at the server level for your website, but there's different ways to do that with different servers. So I've actually started home labbing that just in case I run into other people in the marketplace who need some help with this. And they're like, hey, have you touched this? I want to be able to say yes, not let me go home lab it. They would rather be like, oh, you can help me with this. That's the goal I'm trying to get at. So the whole reason for doing this is to protect the content that is being published. Um, so at the end of the day, what this really is business continuity. Because even if you protect this, but the website goes down, do you have a saved version or a backup of your website that you can spin right back up and say, hey, let's make sure the URL patterns are dialed in and in place, even though we're setting this up on a new web hosting or new web server, so that somebody compromised that one, we still have business continuity, especially if this is generating calls for a local service like a medium-sized business or a local nonprofit, which I actually have a case study of helping a nonprofit. And within 8 days of launching their online presence, they actually had calls for volunteers, for donors, and for clients that they were able to serve as well. So we're getting back to the Majestic tool. Okay. We're going to look at some of these charts here in a moment, but let's understand the game of backlinks. Okay. Back in the day of the Wild Wild West of backlinks, it was now the person with the most backlinks wins. So they're just flooding it with a tool called like free backlink tool that I used back in 2012. It was just an automated tool that would ping them. Like you would be able to rapidly and within 5 minutes get 2,000 backlinks to your new web property. Not quite the game. Modern day, this is actually what we call blackhead SEO. If you try to flood a website with too many backlinks, what it's going to do is increase this citation flow, this number on the right. Okay, remember this was an assessment of overall backlinks, your backlink profile online. This is a bad situation. This is going to skew what I call the golden ratio. If you take trust flow divided by citation flow, 17 divided by 37, left number divided by right number, you get a ratio. Two things about this number. You want it to be closer to the whole number of 1, and you want these numbers to get higher. How do you do this? You get more backlinks. But you have to do it in a strategic way, because if you flood this too perfectly, that bottom number is going to skyrocket from 37 to maybe 100. And now you've just drugged down that golden ratio. Not trying to confuse you with math, just letting you know, first number divided by second number has to be closer to 1, and the trust flow and citation flow have to be higher. How do you do that? You get more backlinks in a smart way. Then we're going to talk about link velocity. Well, wait a minute, Chris. You just talked about link volume. What about velocity? Hear me out. Okay. The volume is how many backlinks. The link velocity is how much you're trying to do too perfect of an action. So if we go back, link volume, you're getting too many backlinks at one time. But some people try to game the system and they try to do this too perfectly. Well, if I can't flood the backlinks, then what I'm going to do is get credible sources online that are like they have a really good vote, good like all these different factors to say, yeah, they're really credible, and we're going to try and get high trust votes from them, high trust backlinks. You do this too perfect, one of two things are going to happen to your online presence or your company's presence. Number one, this is why you don't hire a chump in SEO. They are either going to sandbox you as Google, the 800-pound gorilla, on like page 10 or page 20. That's like position 200 or something. And your website's just going to be stuck there. So that's a problem, okay? If you're trying to pay somebody however much a month to actually work with you and they can't get it moving, this is a problem. And if they actually stuck it back there, which is a risk, okay? It's not a perfect science, but you want to try and avoid doing things too perfectly or too big. Okay, you want to take this in stride and over the course of a year, 9 to 12 months, build up this backlink portfolio, build up everything in this SEO process. So what can you do? Well, you can go to a tool called Ahrefs. So this is a premium tool, and you can look at the referring domains, which are all the backlinks, the different websites that are actually linking. And if you see a lot of zeros, guess what? They're probably not doing a whole lot of favors for your online presence. And so with the more backlinks you get, these referring domains are going up. Up and to the right might be a good thing, but if you don't have a lot of trust coming, that's not going to help you. So we come back to Majestic and we actually take a look at the trust flow and citation flow. But now we're actually going to look at another portion of this tool, these charts, to see if somebody is actually attacking your website. So yeah, we can look at the bottom number here with deleted, backlinks that you've lost. We can look at referring domains and how many fresh ones are actually linking to you. I'd rather just look at the charts, because if this starts looking like stock charts and it's just sharp, jagged, large points, or okay, large mountainous, moments suddenly, chances are that's a bad situation. Chances are somebody's trying to attack you, whether or not it's the competition or just somebody that's going to be malicious. That is a problem. So you want to make sure that you're watching out for that. You don't have to watch out for it every day, but just keep an eye on it every so often. Okay. And with these citations, remember, more lines in the water, name, address, and phone number in different key places on the World Wide Web. Sometimes you can get a backlink from these, which is going to add to your online backlink portfolio. So if the goal is to elevate trust, then avoid flooding your online presence and keep an eye out for other people flooding your online presence with too many backlinks, either too perfect of backlinks or too many backlinks, regardless of the nature of the value or credibility of it. Okay. And then lastly, we're talking about citation vulnerabilities. Now, these are multiple lines in the water. They're third-party listings, and they control them, right? But actual users are using these. So what they do is they try to enable the users to take ownership of it, stay on it longer, so they can make recommendations to say, hey, change this phone number, okay? So if they change the phone number because somebody using the platform, you don't know if it's your competition, you don't know if it's a black hat SEO or a threat actor, but if they change that, guess what? Now your phone number is changed. So they're probably calling your competition, or they're just calling like a joke of a hotline. The point is, these more lines in the water just became a dead line in the water. It's not doing anything for your online presence. And some people actually spend money doing this, okay? The second part is to attack and disrupt. If you think back to a disaster, gotta be with the people down in Texas with all those floods, or COVID even, okay? Somebody's gonna call up one of these places. Guess what? Social engineering. Call them up and say, hey, we've been struggling for a few years. We haven't been able to recover uh, from COVID. So can you just list us as permanently closed? They'll say, well, we need paperwork. Okay, got it. But can you list us as temporarily closed? Plot twist, they're not even in your company, but they're acting as you. So you're listed as temporarily closed. There go your calls. Okay. So what can we do about this? Well, here's what not to do. Okay. Don't go get another. Like, I think we're all sick of seeing dashboards every now and then. Okay. We're exhausted with dashboards at the end of the workday. You don't need to go get one of these. These are not perfect. These are not going to do any favors. And somebody's actually going to be pulled out of operation to say, hey, go pay attention to this. I was like, really, dude? So here's what you can do instead. Just understand these are third-party listings. These are third-party places, and they're just going to update when they update. They're going to fall off, or they're going to get changed. So keep an eye on these every so often, okay? This is actually a citation service. This is data integrity, something that people who don't have a job yet or they're trying to break in cyber, this is something you can do. And you can talk about it because you're getting paid to do it. Keep an eye on this for business owners who get it, who understand this, who value this, and make sure that their hours of operation, their photos, their business name, address, and phone number, their website, everything is actually accurate. You don't want change when you want everything to be consistent, okay? So watch out for social engineering. And as a reminder, everywhere you can, try to get the multi-factor authentication, because reality check, we're in cyber. So what have we done? We've talked about getting a website to the top of search and the key ingredients that actually work with it, from a mobile responsive website that you're trying to secure or fortify with a SSL. And then content, backlinks, and citations are the key things that we need to focus on. Yeah, there's other little nuances that people want to confuse, but I've actually outperformed the competition of people who are trying to do all those little nuances just doing these three things. So I've proven over the course of the last decade, technically 20 years, that these are the key factors to get to the top of search. And how to fortify the online presence with cyber resilience. As we talked about, content obscurity, web security, flooding perfection is something we want to avoid. And then citations and social engineering we want to keep an eye out. At the end of the day, the goal is and always has been to try and get more money. And if your company isn't doing this, this could be an opportunity for you to try and get more money coming in for your department. Just a thought. And I've done this for a nonprofit and for a very difficult keyword for the nonprofit. So if any of you are connected with nonprofits, understand this can work for them too. And business owners and executives control the time to implementation. They control the purse strings. So my question to you is this, even if you're doing this for free on the side, or at least getting started and taking a look at the online presence, isn't it about time that you got started. Thank you. But wait, there's more. A free gift for everybody who's actually attending today. If you don't know where to start with this, you don't know who to trust, or you're unclear of what things are supposed to look like, I got you. So I'm going to send you to the site. It's a bit.ly link. I just made it last night. TLDR TB special. For those of you who don't get the joke, back in April, it was our 2-year anniversary for the public speaking group over in Simply Cyber. And we had a panel. Gracious for Rana Schultz being on that panel. And I don't know what provoked her to say this, but there was a lot of mentions of Taco Bell. And that's where the TB comes from. I was like, what? And just out of nowhere in this lull of science, she said, with a big grin on her face, Miley, she said, TLDR Taco Bell. And we just all split our sides laughing. So an acknowledgement for Rana Schultz and all the good things she's doing. bit.ly/TLDR TB special. What are you going to get? Well, the website's going to look like this. I'm not going to scroll down on the page, but what you're going to get is my slides, the unedited version, okay, the original version from this, which actually has a little bit more detail on it. FreeDB number 2 is going to be some GRC stuff when I got started in there, a self-scoring tool, maybe some inventory worksheets that you can give to the local businesses who probably aren't doing this in the local marketplace. And then if you want to practice doing cybersecurity awareness videos and actually taking what's in the news and making a 1-minute gesture of goodwill to a local business, maybe you could turn that into a business yourself. You can actually set up an LLC and get paid to do this for local businesses. I got you a couple videos in the upper left for this other freebie. So my SEO fundamentals is 14-minute overview of everything we just talked about. So you can share that with the business if they're not sure what's going on and they don't want to watch this long presentation. I also gave you the nonprofit SEO to show you what I actually did to move the needle for them. I'm giving you some mobile responsive tools, a domain age check, maybe some word counters and page readability to make sure that it's actually good quality content. How about some backlink tools? Majestic and Ahrefs that I referenced, we got that for you. But the one big gem that I'm going to give you is the citation listing. This is the over 500 of the best bang for your buck citation locations that you can take back to your company or start doing for your own brand and see if you can get more lines in the water to get more attention for what you're trying to put out into the marketplace. And I'm giving this to you. I actually do charge a good amount for this. I'm giving it to you absolutely free. And it's ordered by the most authoritative to the least authoritative, both by domain authority, which is a modern day metric, to page rank, which is a less used metric in this day and age. So go get your freebies. I am closing this down when I wake up tomorrow. And I've actually had people DM me after a conference, but I want to reward you for showing up live and saying, you know what, I'm going to take my business seriously. I'm going to take cybersecurity seriously. I'm going to invest in myself and try and help my company and my own brand, even if you have just a portfolio starting out. These are things you can do to get more lines in the water and get more attention. So make sure that you go and grab these, get the TLDR Taco Bell special. No, Taco Bell is not supporting this or sponsoring this. But thank you, Rihanna, for making this available for us, giving us a space to mastermind today. And if you found this valuable, please donate $5. It's a very good and meaningful cause that we're doing here. And I just want to say thank you very much and give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself some applause for doing the right thing in the right way for the right reasons and showing up here today. Josh, you with me?
I am. I did not want to steal your thunder.
Oh no, the audio again.
Oh, I just flung it over to the side so it wasn't.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yeah. One of those. It's when you have like a big mic in front of you. Anyway. So that was amazing. Thank you, Chris. It is also just great to see your presentation style over these years. It's not that you weren't ever a good presenter. It's just, I don't know.
Thank you.
The audience agrees with me. You know what you're doing.
Thank you.
And that was so valuable. I hope, folks, if you need a route to get in, a route to get into all of this cyber, what Chris has outlined is another way of getting started and adding value. And that's one of the best ways to have people come to you to fill jobs rather than having to apply, is showing that you can add value. So, Chris, thank you so much. It was great to see you. I am going to let you go. You can hang out backstage all you want,
Yep.
but I'm going to bring up our next speaker.
All right.
See you,
Thank you so much
Chris.
for having me. I put the link in the chat too if anybody wants to just copy and paste it just to make sure that you have it. But thank you so much for everything, Josh. Thank you, Rihanna. And yeah.